On this vote, the yeas were 203 and the nays are...
Mr. Raskin votes no. Ms. Waters votes no. Ms. Bush votes no. Mr. Joyce of Ohio votes aye.
For 207.
Ms. Schreier votes no. Mr. Fallon votes aye. Ms. Mace votes aye. Mr. Ruiz votes no. Ms. Wilson of Florida votes no. Mr. Swalwell votes no. Nobody heard that. Mr. Pasquarel votes no.
On this vote, the yeas are 215, the nays are 207. Previous question is ordered. Question is on the adoption of the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it in the opinion of the chair.
Hello, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, over here.
For what purpose is the gentleman from Massachusetts?
I ask for a recorded vote, please.
A recorded vote is requested. Those favoring a recorded vote will rise. A sufficient number having risen, a recorded vote is ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote. On this vote, the yeas are 214 and the nays are 211.
Ms. Boebert. Votes aye.
On this vote, the yeas are 215, the nays are 211. The resolution is adopted, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Order, please. Order on the floor. Order on the floor, please. Take your conversations to the back. Off the floor. For what purpose does the gentlewoman... Order, please. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Florida, Mrs. Luna, seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I call up the resolution previously noticed.
The clerk will report the resolution.
House Resolution 521. Whereas the allegation that President Donald Trump colluded with Russia to interfere with the 2016 presidential election has been revealed as false by numerous in-depth investigations, including the recent report by Special Counsel John Durham, which documents how the conspiracy theory was invented, funded, and spread by President Trump's political rivals. Whereas Representative Adam Schiff, who served as ranking minority member and then chairman of the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence of the House of Representatives, the Intelligence Committee, occupied positions of extreme trust, affording him access to sensitive intelligence unavailable to most members of Congress. Whereas for years, Representative Schiff abused his trust by alleging he had evidence of collusion that, as is clear from reports by Special Counsel Robert Mueller, Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz, and Special Counsel Durham, never existed. Whereas for years, Representative Schiff has spread false accusations that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia. Whereas on March 20th, 2017, Representative Schiff perpetuated false allegations from the Steele dossier, accusing numerous Trump associates of colluding with Russia into the congressional record. Whereas once again abusing his privileged access to classified information, Representative Schiff released a memo justifying the accuracy of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, warrant application on Trump associate Carter Page, of which was later found by Inspector General Horowitz to have 17 major mistakes and omissions, provoking FISA Court Presiding Judge Rosemary Collyer
Please.
to state unequivocally that the Federal Bureau of Investigation misled the FISC. Whereas as ranking minority member and chairman of the Intelligence Committee, Representative Schiff behaved dishonestly and dishonorably on many other occasions, including by publicly falsely denying that his staff communicated with a whistleblower to launch the first impeachment of President Trump. Whereas part of his impeachment efforts during a hearing on September 26, 2019, Representative Schiff misled the public by reading the false retelling of a phone call between President Trump and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Whereas on March 28, 2019, every Republican member of the Intelligence Committee signed a letter calling for Representative Schiff's immediate resignation as chairman. Whereas Representative Schiff hindered the ability of the Intelligence Committee to fulfill its oversight responsibilities over the intelligence community, an indispensable pillar of our national security. Whereas these actions of Representative Schiff misled the American people and brought disrepute upon the House of Representatives, now therefore be it resolved that 1. The House of Representatives censures Adam Schiff, representative of the 30th Congressional District of California, for misleading the American public and for conduct unbecoming of an elected member of the House of Representatives. 2. Representative Adam Schiff will forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. 3. Representative Adam Schiff will be censured by the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker. And 4. The Committee on Ethics shall conduct an investigation into Representative Adam Schiff's falsehoods, misrepresentations, and abuses of sensitive information.
The resolution qualifies. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Massachusetts seek recognition?
I have a motion at the desk, Mr. Speaker.
The member moves to table. The clerk will report the motion.
Ms. Clark of Massachusetts moves to lay the resolution on the table.
The question is on the motion offered by the gentlewoman from Massachusetts. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
Mr. Speaker, I call for a recorded vote.
A recorded vote is requested. Those favoring a recorded vote will rise. A sufficient number having risen, a recorded vote is ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. 5-minute vote.
The yeas are 208, the nays are 218 on this vote. The motion is not adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Pursuant to Clause 2 of Rule 9, House will be in order. Pursuant to Clause 2 of Rule 9, the gentlewoman from Florida and the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Raskin, each will control 30 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Florida.
I yield myself such time as I may
Gentlewoman will suspend. Ask members to take their conversations off the floor. House will be in order. Gentlewoman is recognized.
I yield myself such time as I may consume. Americans do not trust Congress. From the highest levels of office, an elected member of this body enabled the fraudulent spending of $32 million out of the pockets of our American people and threw it down the drain to knowingly chase ghosts, all for political gain. This man occupied a position of the highest trust and authority. As chair of the House Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff launched an all-out political campaign built on baseless distortions against a sitting U.S. president at the expense of every single citizen in this country and the honor of the House of Representatives. With access to sensitive information unavailable to most members of Congress and certainly not accessible to the American people, Schiff abused his privileges claiming to know the truth, while leaving Americans in the dark about this web of lies. Lies so severe that they altered the course of the country forever. The lie that
Gentlelady will suspend. The House is not in order. Members, please take your conversations off the floor.
The lie that President Donald Trump colluded with Russia to steal the 2016 presidential election, revealed to be completely false by numerous investigations, including the Durham report. The lie that the Steele dossier, a folder of falsified and since completely debunked collusions, accusations funded by the Democrat Party, had any shred of credibility. Yet Schiff read it into congressional record as fact. Lies concocted and compiled in a false memo that was used to lie to the FISA court to precipitate domestic spying on U.S. citizen Carter Page, violating American civil liberties. Not only was this egregious abuse of Schiff's privileged access to classified information, but this memo was littered with 17 major mistakes and omissions. The groundless memo violated Carter Page's civil liberties, publicly assassinated his character, and subjected him to multiple abusive, unlawful investigations. Mr. Schiff exploited his position as chair of Intel Committee and every opportunity possible, threatening national security, undermining our duly elected president, and bringing dishonor upon the institution. Perhaps most unforgivable, Schiff ripped apart American families across the country with repeated false narratives. His own political good was served by permanently destroying family relationships and sowing lasting division across our land, which we live with every single day. The perpetrator of this web of deceit became mainstays on cable news, waking up every morning with one goal: to lie, lie, lie to the American people that there was a direct evidence of Russia collusion. Despite transcripts from Schiff's investigation showing that the Director of National Intelligence, former Obama Attorney General, former Attorney General, and FBI Director, to name a few, went on record telling Schiff's committee that there was no direct evidence for his criminal conspiracy. Yet to this day, Schiff actively fundraises off of his exploitation of Americans as if robbing them from the truth and $32 million in taxpayer dollars was not enough. Can anyone in this chamber comprehend this list of crimes and yet somehow believe that there should not be an answer for it? This is not a partisan act. This is not a conservative versus liberal vote. This is a clear vote between right and wrong, and I urge you to do the right thing. I will end with repeating with what I started with. The American people do not trust Congress. The cyclical pattern of lies has worn down the credibility of every institution and every official in the United States government. You see it, I see it. If we run away from this opportunity to hold this man accountable, there is only one fault, and that is of ourselves. We will betray the people who trusted us and sent us here to do the right thing. We will be responsible for the end of any shred of justice in this body, and we will reject the duty that we swore an oath to protect upon taking office. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentlewoman reserves. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we meet not to lower the costs of prescription drugs, nor to expand President Biden's infrastructure plan, nor to protect the voting rights of the people, nor to protect the health care choices of women across America, because we know they're definitely not interested in that. No, we meet rather for another stop on the GOP's endless revenge tour against Democrats who dared to tell the truth about Donald Trump and his repeated sellouts and betrayals of the American people over the last 6 years. It's all about Donald Trump tightening his stranglehold over Republicans for the 2024 campaign and driving out anyone who dares to think for himself or herself. But don't take my word for it. Just read Friday's statement by the twice impeached inciter of insurrection, sexual abuser, defamer of women, and indicted pilferer of national security secrets, war plans, and top secret classified documents himself. On Friday, Trump posted this order to his followers and this unveiled threat to anyone who would dare to defy his control over the GOP. Quote, "Any Republican voting against Adam Schiff's censure or worse should immediately be primaried," he wrote. "The Luna resolution is a weapon of mass distraction from Trump's indictment by a Florida grand jury on 37 federal charges relating to obstruction and unlawful retention of defense information for storing dozens of classified, secret, and top secret documents at his Florida resort, in his bathroom, his bedroom, and beyond, and then refusing repeatedly for more than a year to return any of these official documents to the archives and the FBI. It's amazing to me that they have to change the subject from one of Donald Trump's current offenses against America to one of his older offenses, welcoming Russian interference in the 2016 presidential campaign. Russia repeatedly intervened in the 2016 campaign to help Donald Trump, and that's not a matter of opinion. That's a question of direct positive fact. Special counsel Robert Mueller, the former FBI director, whose report is cited authoritatively by Ms. Luna, found right at the beginning of his report that, quote, "The Russian government interfered in the 2016 presidential election in sweeping and systematic fashion." Here's what the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence found in 2017. Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered an influence campaign in 2016 aimed at the U.S. presidential election. The Mueller investigation and the Moscow Project documented more than 250 episodes of collaboration and meetings between Russia and the Trump campaign, including Paul Manafort's repeated passing of campaign secrets, such as polling data to Konstantin Kilimnik, a Russian agent, and the infamous meeting on June 9, 2016 at Trump Tower, led by Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, and Russian lawyer Natalia Veselnitskaya. Senator Marco Rubio, the Florida Republican, stated that the U.S. Senate Bipartisan Select Committee on Intelligence, quote, "found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling in the American campaign." So, the Mueller report, if you read it, makes no pronouncement on collusion, the putative crux of the distinguished gentlelady's complaint, because as Mueller writes, collusion is not a legal offense or a legal concept, and so the whole question of Trump's collusion with Russia is in the realm of opinion. And most Americans would see a lot of collusive activity all the way up to the present day, when Donald Trump refuses even to take the side of the Ukrainian people against Vladimir Putin's filthy, bloody, imperialist invasion of their country, which has been filled with lies, atrocities, and war crimes. In any event, we don't censure members over a difference of opinion. Mr. Speaker, we're seeing the complete ethical collapse of a once great political party. The Republican Party began as a pro-freedom, anti-racist, pro-immigrant, anti-know-nothing party. It has become an authoritarian cult of personality, taking orders from an inciter of insurrection, a bully and braggart whose rage towards Mike Pence and whose spectacular disrespect for the rule of law endangered not only our entire constitutional order, but everyone in this room. The party of Lincoln and his Lincolnites has become the party of Luna and her Luna followers. Today's madcap antics are an obvious deflection from Trump's deepening legal troubles. His allegedly criminal conduct in pilfering, hoarding, and refusing to return national security documents has caused his own Attorney General, William Barr, to say that, quote, Trump's conduct is indefensible. He's not a victim here. He was totally wrong, and there is no excuse for what he did here. Yesterday, Representative Boebert offered a resolution of impeachment against President Biden. The GOP simply has no ideas for our economy, no ideas for our country, and no idea for our people, but is on an embarrassing revenge tour on behalf of Donald Trump, who treats them like a ventriloquist dummy. I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Florida is recognized.
I yield 2 minutes of my time to the gentleman from Tennessee, Representative Ogles.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you to my colleague and dear friend, Congressman Luna, for leading the charge to hold our Democrat counterparts responsible for their gross misuse of power. Adam Schiff abused his power of chairman of the House Intelligence Committee to create false narratives that were sold to the American people about President Trump. The Mueller report and Durham report both proved that the basis for the so-called Russian collusion investigation was non-existent. The representative from California misled the American people and compromised the interests of the United States of America in service of defeating, persecuting, attacking, and defaming President Donald Trump. Mr. Speaker, he was hasty, he was prejudiced, and he was wrong. It's clear he was concerned for no one but himself in the advancement of the Democratic Party, their political agenda. $32 million later, the American people are left with lies and the obligation to pick up the tab for this boondoggle of a political witch hunt. The representative from California prioritized personal political gain over the interests of our nation, and he more than deserves to be censured by the People's House. The Democratic Party has allowed an invasion on our southern border, where every small town in America is now a border town. Every one of us knows someone that's been poisoned or overdosed because of fentanyl. Illegals are raping and killing people across our country, and what do? They claim to have a solution, and they have none. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for your time. I yield back.
Manager reserves. Gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
I yield to the distinguished gentleman from California, the former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Mr. Schiff, for as much time as he may consume.
Gentleman's recognized.
To my Republican colleagues who introduced this resolution, I thank you. You honor me with your enmity. You flatter me with this falsehood. You, who are the authors of a big lie about the last election, must condemn the truth tellers, and I stand proudly before you. Your words tell me that I have been effective in the defense of our democracy, and I am grateful. And yet this false and defamatory resolution comes at a considerable cost to the country and to the Congress. At a moment when millions of people in our home state of California are unable to find a place to live or afford a place to live, Speaker McCarthy chooses to occupy the resources of Congress for 2 straight weeks on this hollow sop to the MAGA crowd. He offers nothing to those who are homeless or addicted to opioids or to millions of college students mired in debt, but this paltry distraction. Donald Trump is under indictment for actions that jeopardize our national security, and McCarthy would spend the nation's time on petty political payback, thinking he can censure or fine Trump's opposition into...
43, who, according to your report, created conspiracy allegation in direct conflict with his recording and misstated significant and material fact to the FBI, among other things.